Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC Fight Night, Johnny Walker versus Thiago Santos. We're going to break down the main event. We already have a play on there, so let's discuss it. I want to dive into it. It's an intriguing matchup. Want to get involved there, as well as we're going to talk knockout prop. Coming off of a winner last week with Dawkins plus 135. Have another one I want to discuss here, and as well as fade of the card. There's definitely be a fighter here again that just either have less exposure on, or maybe don't wrap into all of your parlays. There's a few always buyer beware spots. I think we found another one here, so we're going to talk about today on the show. We are now coming off of 11 of 15 profitable weekends. Been a good run for us overall. Ended up winning on NFL, has kind of helped clients last week, going 2-3 last weekend. A little bit, some of those spots there where I thought that I really felt really good about were not cash, but we were ended up slight loss, and then going into NFL, going 3-0 on Sunday. So does help us, but let's keep getting these UFC winners here. So we're going to talk the main event of the evening first, between Thiago Santos and Johnny Walker. Now Thiago Santos is a minus 160 roughly. You've got on the other side, you've got Johnny Walker there. He's plus 135, 132, somewhere in that area. But what we always do here, we're going to discuss 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other, and the line makes sense to place a wager. So, we're first going to talk Thiago Santos here. You got Santos right now, again, minus 160, and 3 fights ago, he fought Jon Jones. Now, this is a very intriguing fight, a fight, of course, we've all seen, and going back and watching it, it really gives you a lot of respect for what Thiago Santos did in that fight. Now, some people are talking about, was it because Jon Jones, is he off the juice? Is he not as, is he just kind of aging at this point? But really at a range. I thought that it was a fantastic showing, even with the knee injury, even blowing out his knee. He looked great. And going into that first round, he just looked like he was overwhelming Jon Jones. And that's almost a spot where you've never seen it. We really don't see it too much happen, at least, where he's so overwhelmed. And the pressure, the leg kicks were piling up. He was landing big shots. Even when you would throw that crazy kind of forward combination, he was landing good shots. Jones, almost looked like very hesitant in certain spots. He was starting to, battle back later in the fight. But in that second round, though, is really where everything kind of fell apart as to his knee. And, kind of stumbled. You could tell it bothered him right away. You could tell there was an issue right away. But the toughness that this shows, with him continually going through the fight, pushing forward, still bringing the fight to Jon Jones. He wasn't like, let me backpedal a little bit and find one big bomb. He was still saying, he was digging deep, pushing forward. I loved seeing that from him there. Again, this was a great spot for him where, he was, that first round looked good and then he kind of kept going, but you could see when he was pushing forward later in the fight, he would stumble, he just couldn't kind of keep his legs together, and it makes you question what would have happened if he actually had his legs together that night. Really, really looked good throughout the fight. You could still, even blowing out his leg, it could have been a 3-2, 2-3. It was so very close, some of those rounds. Who won? It's very, very close. Jones gets the nod in a split decision, but I think it just showed the toughness of Thiago Santos. Not only does he have that power, but you can see he digs deep and can push forward. So he goes out there, he does lose against Jon Jones. 2 fights ago, he fought Glover Teixeira, and against Glover, this is another spot here where it was a tough stylistic matchup overall for Thiago Santos here, where you've got Santos. He came into this fight a minus 240 favorite against Glover. I think that says a lot about the books really giving him a lot of respect against a tough guy like Glover. But you really saw, though, that from the beginning, Santos was worried. He was worried about the takedowns. He knew they were coming. He tried to, he landed a big shot early, did rock Glover early, almost ended the fight. Again, shows the power. We're going to touch a lot on that in this breakdown about the power of Santos. But there you see, he dropped them, he pushed forward, tried to get some grappling going, and somehow Glover, you have seen it time and time again, where he gets hurt, he's able to just make it through, kind of survive and push through it, and then somehow he's on top. And that was what happened in that first round. He got rocked, he pushed forward, got the takedown. Going into that second round, his corner saying, do not stand with Santos here, look for the quick takedown. He went right for it, pinned him up against the fence, and Glover was able to get that takedown. And then going to the third round, Santos' corner saying, do whatever possible to not get taken down. He goes, he lands a big shot, ends up rocking ended up rocking Glover. And again, another spot where he's just, the power is always there. You're talking third round, power still there. You even saw power with John Jones late in the fight with one leg. I mean, you saw he still was able to do spinning kicks, hard body kicks. I mean, his kicking game is really off the charts, and he was able to go out there and keep pushing forward, but then it was ended up being just the grappling was too much. All of a sudden, Glover finds the back. He ends up getting the submission victory in that third round. But a bad stylistic matchup overall for Santos, but he goes out there and he does not defeat Glover. And most recently, Alexander Rakic, and I am extremely high on Rakic overall, what he does in the cage, how good he is, his kickboxing, his power, he really just can mix it up really well. And this was a fight here where I thought that the way that, early in that fight, Rakic just piling up these leg kicks, and maybe, he wasn't as comfortable. Maybe Thiago was kind of a little bit worried about that knee, and he wasn't really feeling that good. And that's kind of where, he just seems so gun shy, and that's normally not what you see from Santos. You just don't see that. You see just this heavy pressure, this pushing forward. He didn't do it against Rakic. Rakic kind of, did enough to just get the victory. It wasn't this massive performance, but it could have been some of the things that Rakic was doing was really kind of countering things that Thiago wanted to do. But either way, it was a decision victory for Rakic, and Thiago gets the loss there. Now on the other side, you got Johnny Walker here. Johnny Walker, again, plus 135 roughly. And 3 fights ago, he fought Corey Anderson. Now this here to me was a first red flag to me here. And this was a spot here where I think was absolutely a setup for Walker to get a victory overall, because this just didn't feel like this was going to be, this was just going to be a slugfest. It was going to be, Corey Anderson, not known for his power, really. I mean, he's got some ground and pound. He's got, got some wrestling in there, but he's not really known for his power. And really, in that first real exchange, he landed 90 seconds in. Corey Anderson lands a big shot, rocks. I mean, it almost looked like he got hit with a Mike Tyson punch, the way that Walker reacts to these punches. It's like his whole body is about to collapse on just one single shot to the jaw. And he gets rocked, he got back up, he got rocked again. In that short period of time, I would say you could probably say he was rocked 3 times in a matter of a couple of minutes. I mean, whatever it was that ended up getting at. And Corey Anderson gets the knockout victory. But Corey Anderson's not known for these knockouts. He's not known for this big power. And to show that he could do that so easily 3 times to Walker in the first round really terrifies me for anybody who is going to be wagering on Walker. That, to me, right there is a red flag, absolutely. Then you've got 2 fights ago, Nikita Krylov he fought, and this was one here where Krylov did a smother. He just smothered, he pushed forward. He knows, again, and another big issue with Walker is not only there's a chin situation, but it's also the fact that his cardio. I mean, his cardio has been very, very iffy. And Nikita did the right thing. He kind of went in tight, got the takedown, kept it there, kept maneuvering from there. Anytime they're at distance, even if Nikita was kind of tired, latched on late in the fight, getting the takedowns. Walker has ability. There's no doubt the guy is definitely gifted when it comes to fighting. It's just there are some holes, and when you're starting to get up with the higher level guys, these are the guys that can take advantage of this. But Nikita Krylov goes out there. He does get the victory over Johnny Walker. And then most recently, we've got the Ryan Spann fight. And now this is one that really was a wild fight. I mean, really a wild fight. And I actually did have Johnny Walker as a client play, but after it, I said, I can't bet this guy almost ever again. It was very, very worrisome where you've got Ryan Spann. And now again, Ryan Spann has power. He's got the grappling. He's a big dude. Both of these guys are big, big guys. But again, it was almost a situation where it was like the first real shot that was landed on Walker. I mean, the guy is completely rocked, wobbled, and he's got the tendency to get these weird kind of flash knockdowns where he's almost there, but he's not there. And even in this spot here, he got rocked, and then it almost looked like he kind of came out of it. And then Ryan Spann landed a shot which didn't look like it was like this big bomb, and all of a sudden he's rocked again. I mean, it was like, and then Ryan Spann, which now, if I can remember correctly, but it was some kind of, he rocked him, then he kind of had the clinch. And Ryan Spann, instead of just unloading, or instead of kind of, they were both, Walker was throwing some nice shots too, but instead of just kind of unloading, he goes to what he's just more comfortable at, gets looked with a level change, gets latches Walker up against the fence, and from there it was just heavy elbows raining down on Spann. He left his head there for way too long. You could hear the corner even saying, "Get out of there," and he just kind of stayed in that spot. Probably should have, just stayed and banged, and probably would have got the knockout. But in this spot here, he does go out there, get the finish against Ryan Spann. So there you have it there. So now to wrap this all together, of course you've got Thiago Santos, you've got the power kickboxing, you've got the power strikes. He's got bombs with both hands, these heavy hooks that he pushes forward. The pressure, he's not scared to stand and trade. He will absolutely stand and trade. And the other side, you've got, Johnny Walker. Again, same thing, power. He's definitely has talent. He's explosive. You see him throw the flying knees that he landed and knockout wins that way. He's a big guy. He's going to have the size advantage over Thiago Santos. So that's obviously something to worry about. But I think right now the big elephant in the room, of course, in every single fight that Johnny Walker's in is his chin. How is his chin? How's it going? How's it been? Is it getting all right? Is it getting better? No, there's a very good chance that it's not. And these are things that we have seen throughout every single person's career that has ever had a chin issue has to reinvent themselves. They have to go in there and they have to reinvent themselves. They have to cater to the fact that I can't stand and bang because one shot, the fight's over. Now, of course, at any point, the fight could be over. But when you got a guy that early in most of these fights gets clipped with one shot and then it's just bedlam at that point, and somehow he finds the victories. He pulls himself out of there, finds the victory. Sometimes he doesn't. But this is just a situation where it's absolutely terrifying to have him in this spot here where he can't keep it together. We've seen somebody like Cody Garbrandt, same kind of thing, where Cody, he had to reinvent himself. He couldn't just stand and swing. He had to change himself, and it worked for certain spots. Staying on the outside, jab, stick and move. Walker's style is just terrible for Thiago Santos because he also is he's wild. He just gets out there, he fires big shots. He's hoping to land a big shot. He has had a lot of nice knockouts in his past, but it's almost a one-trick pony at this point. It's almost like the gig is up. It's like either, he's ready to be, kill or be killed mentality, but with the lack of defense, just awareness of defense, and how sloppy and wild his strikes are, that's just terrible news when you're facing somebody like Thiago Santos who has precise striking, heavy shots, pressure, willing to stand and trade. You've seen him rocked as well too. He's definitely been rocked also, but not at the level of Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker does not set up his combinations. He's looking for the big shot right away. You see he just jumps out right away and does that. So that already is, again, another advantage for Santos. Now we talk about the cardio. Cardio is another thing here. You're talking about a 5-round fight, and you've seen Thiago, he can do it. He can do it. There's times where he just goes, balls to the wall and just uses up all of his energy because he's looking for that knockout. We've seen certain things like that. But you see that he's able to do going 5 rounds with John Jones on one leg and keeping a good pace, pushing a good pace. A lot of that stuff right there for me really, again, is pointing to Thiago Santos. And then on the other side, you've got Thiago Santos, where you look at what he's done. Going 5 rounds with John Jones is a massive, massive just success story. And the fact, some people think he won. Some people actually think he won with one leg. That says a lot. And this is a spot here where he is, even though the reach is going to be there, again, this is another spot where you're going to have a guy where, Johnny Walker is going to have the reach advantage. You definitely have the smaller kind of alligator arms of Thiago. But the way he fights, it doesn't matter. Because he doesn't just normally stand at just range. He'll stand out there and try to utilize some of his spin kicks and his high explosive stuff that he has also, but he's comfortable just pushing forward, and the lack of defense will allow just one of those shots to land. And if he landed one of those shots that he landed, against Glover, the fight's over. It's just one of those, the fight's over. And then the other side of it, there's going to be no worry of takedowns. I think that's going to help Thiago. I think that kind of was a little bit of a worrisome of, some of these past fights where they're looking to take him down. They want to get off the feet. There is no way that Johnny Walker is going to level change. Even if he does at one point, the explosiveness again, if Thiago can get up, but also Walker, despite a few maybe isn't that great, but he's just going to drain his cardio if he keeps going out there looking for that. And then really, you got KO power plus a glass chin equals destruction. I just don't see him being able to cover up for 3 rounds, 2 rounds, however it lasts, and just not take a solid punch to the face, because it seems like it's one good hook and things change very badly for him as well. And then you got to add in also the fact that prior to all this, not only did he just fight John Jones, in a competitive fight, he knocked out Jan Blachowicz. I mean, that's something that I feel like no one's talking about. And when you look at the body of work, I think the minus 160 line is way too low for me here. I just think that it should be much, much higher. I think that it's just a great spot here. He could go out there and knock him out quickly. I mean, this could be a very one-sided affair here. Johnny Walker's not going to look to take this into deep water. Thiago Santos can if things start going that way. But the way these two fight, I think it's a main event. They are going to be trading. There won't be level changing. I think he lands a big shot. I think that Santos has the absolute opportunity here to go out there and have a dominating showing. So I will be betting Thiago Santos at minus 160. Now we're going to be talking quickly the knockout prop of the night, and we're going to be going prop hunting here. And the one that I do like here is in the fight between Alexander Hernandez and Mike Breeden. And you've got Hernandez right now is minus 550. You've got Breeden who's a plus 390. I think it was somewhere around there. But what I like here about this is to keep this as brief as possible here, this is the exact fight that Hernandez excels at. This is just like the fight when he fights some tougher opponents. His cardio is a mess. He's doing too much. He's been beaten by some higher level guys. When he takes that step down, he looks like an absolute killer. And again, it's a little nerve wracking because there's been spots you're seeing him he is a different fighter when his cardio tails off. But this is a spot here where you've got Breeden who is okay in the exchanges, is okay firing toe-to-toe. And that's the kind of spot where in that first round, Hernandez is absolutely dangerous. He has the power and has the ability. And you've got on the other side here, you've got Breeden. Well, Breeden is, he's coming in on short notice. And he just lost in Dana White's Contender Series in a pretty one-sided affair where he got beat up for 3 rounds. So this to me is just all pointing to a knockout for Hernandez here. This is a spot where, again, he can crush. He can definitely can crush, and this is one of them here. I am not at all, again, I'm getting off the big number here. This is not something that, I'm looking to bet straight at minus 550 because there are questions with Hernandez. Hernandez does have cardio issues, and can he really push through and get that knockout? Does he just have that first round, look for the big flurry, and then kind of make it through the other rounds? There are questions there, but getting off the big number at plus 140 knockout on Hernandez, this is the kind of fight that he goes out there. It's a great bounce back spot. UFC wants him to get a victory. I'm not saying that obviously anything's possible in a fight, but this is a fight where UFC is saying we want Hernandez to be somewhat relevant. Give him this win. Let's get a big knockout. I mean, what does this do? This is a massive step down. I mean, you got a guy in short notice, lost on Dana White's Contender Series, and he's facing Alexander Hernandez. I just don't see it here. I think this is a great spot to take the play here. So I will be sprinkling Hernandez knockout plus 140. And then we're going to talk the fate of the card here. Now we're going to talk fate of the card. Now, fate of the card is going to be Gaetano Perillo versus Douglas Andrade. Now, you've got Perillo is a plus 184. You've got Andrade is around the minus 330, 340 range, somewhere around there. Now, there's a couple question marks here. Now, again, when I talk fate of the card, doesn't mean that I am betting the other way. It just is a fight that you may want to not put all your part. We all do crazy parlays. There's some fun ones. We're sprinkling, doing a bunch of them. Of course, we get into those. Some of them that we do where we feel really good about, we're laying a lot of money on, but we put these big favorites in, and there's just always going to be shocks. And last week that we had Merab against Moraes, and again, it wasn't that Merab was shouldn't win. It was more that the value was not there, even putting him in a parlay, in my opinion. And as well as Moraes is a monster in that first round. So it was a stay away. And really, first round, I got to say, it looked like Merab was going to be lights out for him. It looked like, Moraes had him, blasted him big. I thought actually the fight was over for a minute there. But then Merab just showed toughness and ended up making it through, getting the victory. So in this situation here, there's a lot of question marks on Andrade here. A lot of question marks. And now I think the first thing here is we look at Perillo. Perillo has 2 UFC fights. Both of them are just exceptional grapplers. I mean, he came into the UFC facing Arnold Allen And then after that, he faced Ricky Simone. And he faced guys that just wrestle, take you down, wrestle, take you down, wrestle, take. They will do that all day. They'll just do that all day. They have the stamina, they have the cardio. You've got someone like Perillo, who is a stand-up striker. He's looking to strike, and he's big for the division, but he's looking to stand and strike. These guys were able to utilize that. They were able to kind of utilize that against him, drain his cardio, push, latch on, and he just was not unable to really do too much. But on your side, you also got where Perillo, he's a Muay Thai world champion, good in the clinch. He's starting to try to show that he's having a little more sense of urgency when he's on the ground, trying to get up. He's going to be tough in the clinch. I think that's going to help also, but he's big for the division and he's strong. I think that could help him when you're talking about Silva in that situation. Andrade. When you're in those situations where you're kind of looking at it as, is the value there for him to just go out there and get the takedowns? Now you got on Silva's side, I keep saying Silva, I know it's Douglas Silva, but on Andrade's side, you've got the situation here where the weight cut, I think that's very big. He's coming down in weight here. He's going to have to lose 10 pounds. Now, those of you that know what this guy looks like, he is a monster. He has a massive build. To go down 10 pounds at 36 years old is going to be asking for a lot, and that could really wear him down, tire him out. Help on the side that maybe his chin is not going to be there. We've seen that with the dehydration, chin issues become a problem. So I think if you have that situation there, again, he's looked good. Andrade has looked good in certain spots there. Tough competition. He's looked strong. Again, he's looking for the level changing. But the path to victory from here for Andrade is going to be the takedowns. He's going to have to look at the takedowns. If he stands and strikes with Perillo, I think Perillo has a great shot of almost the Moraes situation. Landing the big shots, standing toe-to-toe. If it stays on the feet, it's going to be scary again. And in this spot here, where you're looking at what he does is, Douglas at this point, you look at, he's had 10 takedown attempts in 8 fights. 10 takedown attempts in the last 8 fights. And he's landed 5 of those. But 10 takedown attempts is really not showing too much per fight. The guy has been standing, he's looked to stand, he's wanted to stand and trade, he's more comfortable. I mean, he appears to be comfortable with that, and he'll mix in the level changes, but if he stands and trades with Perillo, and it shows statistically that he does not look to utilize his grappling, this is going to be a big shot for Perillo to land and possibly get that finish. This is why I'm staying away from it. It's a minus 230, 240 range in there. Again, if anything, a sprinkle on Perillo via knockout could be something. Very small play, if anything, but to me, it's a stay away. I think Douglas Andrade is definitely a fighter that this line is not the indication of how close this fight will be. I think there's going to be spots where Andrade is going to be rocked, hurt, and if he, again, at this point of his career, if Perillo can somewhat stand and Douglas is not looking for those takedowns, Perillo has a great opportunity to go out there and get the victory. So for me here, I am staying away from this one. This is going to be my fade of the card, and that is the show. Those are my plays for UFC Fight Night, Thiago Santos versus Johnny Walker. If you want to check out my Wagertalk plays, link down in the description. And let's see how we do. We got to keep this going here and make some money on Saturday night. So we will see you on the next show. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.